Well, they're only saying now what Mr. Muhammad has been saying for 33 years. And when Mr. Muhammad said it, they accused him of advocating violence. Now that he has said it and it has given these other Negro leaders enough courage, they're letting the white man know for the first time the real temperament of the black people who are fed up over the inability of white liberals, so-called liberals, and other politicians to solve this problem. And if something isn't done to let black people in this country know that what has been preached for a long time isn't going to be practiced immediately, then I'm afraid that you will have a racial explosion, and a racial explosion is more deadly than an atomic explosion.
Do you think this is more likely to happen in Washington, D.C. than any other city?
Well, I wouldn't limit it to any geographic area. It can happen anywhere in this country where black people are fed up.
Are there any black Muslims involved in any way in the demonstrations in Birmingham?
I don't think so. Because if Muslims were involved in the demonstrations in Birmingham, you'd have a different situation.
What do you mean by a different situation?
Well, for one, we're never the aggressor. We never believe in being the aggressor. But we do believe in defending ourselves if we're attacked. And anybody who sticks a dog on me, I have a right to kill that dog, whether it's a four-legged dog or a two-legged dog. Okay. Well, number one, I'm not the number two man of the Muslim movement, like the press has been saying over and over. And it's an insult to me to refer to me as the heir apparent of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. I'm his minister, and I represent him in that capacity. And we intend to hold a series of meetings beginning this Sunday at the WOST Radio Hall, I think it is. And this series of meetings will be religious services designed for Negroes only. And it will be for Negroes only for the sole purpose of getting together like a family and analyzing our own problems in our own community, and then getting down to the best solution. And it goes without saying that the solution that I will offer will be the solution that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad has used to reform and rehabilitate me, because I'm the best example of what he can do to reform delinquency and criminal characteristics in any person. And this is what the community in Washington here has been crying about the most.
Why are you an example of rehabilitation?
Well, those of you who know my own history know that prior to becoming a Muslim, I was an extreme delinquent, and was in America, and
what
was
city?
All cities, and was involved in many crimes against the community and against society. And it was only after being taught the religion of Islam by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that I was reformed or rehabilitated. And this same thing that he used to reform and rehabilitate me can be used to reform and rehabilitate the same element that's in our community in every city across the country.
You propose this to be a weekly series of meetings, you said?
It'll be every Sunday. Well, we have our regular religious services at our mosque on Wednesdays and Fridays, and we will have this series that will run for 4 weeks.
To analyze community problems
Yes,
in Washington.
to analyze the community problems in Washington that Negroes are faced with, and we feel that we can best do this by Negroes, with Negroes ourselves, among ourselves, and excluding outsiders, so that no one will be too embarrassed to really spell out the factors involved in the problem as they actually are.
Why are you here?
Well, I was sent here by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad to take over the jurisdiction of the local mosque, and which Minister Lucius Brown is not over anymore.
What is your...
Where is he now?
Well, he's no more ministering for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Why was he removed?
Well, it's the same as when you are operating an industry, you have supervisors, and if the supervisor or foreman isn't getting enough action, then you have to remove him. And the purpose of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is to reform the black people in this country, and he says that time is too short, and that we have to make faster progress. So he was removed for that reason, and if I don't get faster progress, I will be removed.
Traffic question here in Washington. There is a majority of Negroes, which does not exist in any other major city.
I don't think that it is any more or less likely to happen in any given area. Black people everywhere today are fed up with the hypocrisy practiced by whites on the civil rights issue, on the desegregation issue, and as they become fed up, they also become fed up with the leaders who have been promising them, the Negro leaders, who have been promising them these things in order to keep them complacent and patient. And as they likewise.
Malcolm X, tell me one thing. We heard last week the local head of the NAACP say that it's quite possible in the near future blood would flow in the streets of our country. And we also heard on Sunday Congressman Adam Clayton Powell saying that there could very well be the worst race riot Washington D.C. has ever seen. Do you believe it?
Too soon, and he puts his dogs on it. It only bears out the hypocrisy of America on the race issue. If the black man lays on his side, he's wrong. If the black man lays on his back, he's wrong. If the black man stands up, he's wrong. So the only thing in face of all that the black man can do is get away from the white man and try and solve his own problems like human beings.
Get away how, Mr. Malcolm X? I mean, you mean leave the United States or withdraw into a separate enclave within the United States or what? How draw away from the white man?
You read the Herald Tribune in the New York Herald Tribune last Tuesday, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad spelled that out clearly. That get away means that since we can't get along with white people, which is not our fault, it's the white man's fault, but when we say it, he makes us sound like we're to blame. Since we can't get along with white people, and he doesn't want us, Mr. Muhammad says the white man America should allow our people to go back to our own homeland. And if America doesn't want us to go back to our own homeland, since they can't treat us right and give us justice here mixed up with them, then the Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that America should allow us to separate right here in this country and allow us to have a territory here into which we can go and solve our own problems. But going into that territory, we should not be forced to go into a bare territory. America should subsidize or provide us with everything that we need to make ourselves an independent society, and then we can solve our own problems. Just like when you don't get along with your wife, you go before the judge, and the judge issues a separation or a divorce. And when he issues this separation or divorce, there has to be a property settlement. And this is what we want with the white man here, a property settlement.
Territory would be of size of a state or something like that?
Sir? Yes, I will give you the best example of why we don't want to integrate and why you don't hear me talking about anything. You can talk about Birmingham, Alabama all you want. This happened in Los Angeles, California, where 7 Negroes were shot down on April the 27th last year, not in Mississippi, but in Los Angeles, California, shot down by the police. These Negroes were unarmed. They were attending their religious services, and after they were dying on the sidewalk, the police handcuffed them, and instead of charging the criminal who assaulted them with the crime, the police were allowed to take their victims into court and charge them with assaulting the police. Now, hold it. Who was shot? He was shot through the heart. This is not a bullet hole. This is, we have proof. Witnesses who saw this Negro beaten by the police as he was laying on the sidewalk dying with a bullet already through his heart. This is Ronald Stokes. He's a Phi Beta Kappa Korean vet. Now, the trial of 14 Negroes has been going on in Los Angeles, California for the past week. You don't read about it in the press. You don't read about it in the white press. And you don't read about it in the Negro press. And since when can 14 Negroes go on trial and the press not be interested in it? The reason the press hasn't been interested in it is because they know it was one of the worst, heinous, brutal, and inhuman crimes that was ever committed against black people in this country, and they are afraid to report it because there's no way they can report it and make it look right. And they talk about what's going on in Birmingham, Alabama, what's going on in the South, only to hide the blood that's on the hands of the white man here in the North.
Why did you bring these pictures?
This morning to show that when white people in the North talk about what's going on in the South, and they pretend to show so much interest over what has taken place, they are not consistent. Their interest and their concern is not consistent. Even the press, the interest that the press has shown over what has been going on in Birmingham isn't consistent. Because if they were genuinely concerned with inhumanity to man, they would be genuinely concerned all over the country.
That's correct. And in Washington here, there's been a number of riots out at Lord's Reformatory, which black Muslims led or took part.
The press claimed that the black Muslims were involved.
You deny that the black
We
Muslims
deny
led
it.
any part in
Emphatically, we deny that Muslims are ever involved in any riot where they initiate that action themselves. The only time you find Muslims involved in anything that can be classified as violence is when someone attacks the Muslims. And the only reason there has been trouble by inmates in prison who are trying to practice the Muslim religion is because the authorities in these institutions will not allow a religious advisor to go in those institutions and give the Negroes who want to become Muslims proper spiritual. When I say your, collective your, yes, the white man, yes. That's the
white man's skin.
the white man? Well, your skin isn't actually white, is it?
No. No.
This is something that you use.
Nor is yours black.
Since the white man finds it white such a thing to be, so much so that no matter what his complexion is, he still proudly regards himself as white. No matter what our complexion is, we call ourselves black. We're as proud to be black as you are to be white.
What is the difference between hating all white men and hating all black men?
Muslims don't hate. No, Muslims don't hate.
Muslims don't hate.
We don't teach any hate. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad teaches us to love each other. But the white man is so...
In this newspaper, Muhammad speaks, and in the sermons I've heard, you aren't preaching hatred?
If you take the newspapers that are covering the... you teach the American public to hate Cuba, to hate Russia, to hate China, to hate Haiti. You use your press to make the American public hate everybody who's an enemy of America. Now, wait a moment. We preach the truth in Muhammad Speaks about what the white man in this country has done to the black man, and the guilt complex that the white man in this country has makes him think that somebody is teaching hate. We're teaching what you have done to our people. Are we teaching hate in Birmingham? You're sicking your dogs on black women, black children, and black babies. Now, are we teaching hate because we tell you what you do to our people? We're teaching truth. And when the white man gets so he can accept the truth, then he won't be classifying it as hate. Excuse me for talking so loud to you, but you pressing the issue.
Do you have any suggestions for the colored people in Birmingham, what they should do now?
Well, anybody who sicks a dog on them, they should kill that dog.
They should kill the dog?
Anybody who sicks a dog on any black man anywhere in this country,
whether he's two-legged or four-legged,
the black man should kill that dog.
How many Muslims do you think there are in Washington?
I don't know. But I think, as Murray Kempton said in the Negro Digest about a month or so ago, he said he had a sneaking suspicion, rather he said that he didn't think there would ever be very many Negro Muslims, but he had a sneaking suspicion that most Negroes have a whole lot of Muslim in them. Well, his original statement about he didn't think there would ever be very many, that's his emotion. He knows that, intellectually he knows that if he were a Negro, he'd be a Muslim himself. But emotionally, he's hoping that most Negroes won't become Muslims because it would have a tendency to put him on the spot. So his statement is tinged with emotion, and it also stems from his own brain.
How many in the United States?
I don't know. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad says that all 20 million black people in this country will be Muslim. Muslim means one who submits to God and believes in following the dictates of the righteous messages that come from God. And by so doing, our problem will be solved. We clean ourselves up by becoming Muslim. Over 90% of our people in this country will be Muslim, which only means that we will have turned away from imitating the immoral habits that you find today in white society. And I might say this, where your problem is concerned in Washington, where you accuse these Negroes of crime. They're only practicing what the white man has forced upon them. They're only practicing what the society they live in has forced upon them. Because you don't turn on your side. I read somewhere the other day, Dick Gregory said that you don't see, when you look at the untouchables, you don't see any Negroes committing crime. You see whites committing crime. All of the gangsterism and organized thuggery that goes on in this country has been organized by whites. And when when the crime problem exists in the Negro community, well, we are the victims of that. We are the victims of this organized crime. And the only way you're ever going to eliminate crime from the Negro community is first to attack those who have organized the crime, who have organized prostitution, organized gambling, organized the drug traffic. And you don't find any Negroes in any of the hierarchies where organized crime is concerned. It's the white man. And where organized crime is concerned, It prevails in the Negro community. And when it prevails in the Negro community, it only means that our own people are the victims of it. It is our own people who are the victims of organized drug traffic and the victims of organized gambling and the victims of organized prostitution. And then the white man blames us, the victims, as being the ones who are responsible for the crime. And if you ever track the dope down to where it came from, you have to track it to the boat that brought it in or the ship that brought it in. And Negroes don't own any airplanes, nor do we own any ships.
Do you have any specific
In turn, and make the public think that we're advocating hate.
Anyway, and the happenings down in Birmingham.
I don't know. Let us hope that they don't.
Why do you say that, sir?
You figure it out. Let us hope that they don't. We don't believe in forcing ourselves upon anybody or in any place where we're not wanted. But we believe that if we ever are attacked by anyone, no matter what the odds are against us, we are within our God-given rights, religious rights, moral rights, human rights, and every other kind of right to do whatever is necessary to defend ourselves, no matter what the price is. So let's hope that they don't.